rebalancing my root chakra.
You're listening to the TV podcast with Tanya and Vivienne Diaz. Thanks for joining us on the couch, or in this case, in the bush, under a tree in Central Australia. Episode 1 was filmed on the 13th of August 2024 on Anangu country at Uluru and features a riff between friends. We touch into several topics including the spirit and magic of Uluru, energy, the body as a gatekeeper of our forgotten yesterdays, judgment, simplicity, healing, and living from the heart. Oh, and a whole lot of F-bombs. We hope you enjoy it.
Look. Is it a sign?
All right, you ready?
Ready.
I'm Tanya.
I'm Vivienne.
And we are here on sacred land at Uluru, on part of the Uluru and Karajuta National Park. And we have just spent a week together with 10 other women on a beautiful voyage and pilgrimage and retreat. And we are here recording our very first podcast.
Yeah, on the last day of this truly magical experience that you have co-facilitated.
And you have participated in.
I have participated in.
That was a treat.
I guess, yeah, absolutely. Treating myself to being in receivership and being the student, and it has been a long time since being in that space, and it was truly a gift to myself, and even watching the other participants, you know, everyone was here for self, you know, reconnection back to self, and this land is just absolutely magical and has that power of connection.
Yeah, and before we really get into whatever this is going to be, we just said, let's just set up somewhere under a tree. As you can see, we're just sitting in the bush with the birds, to really deeply and truly give our respects to the traditional owners of this land, the Anangu people, who have been here for 30,000 years or more, and for really holding us here and welcoming us here and having us here for this beautiful experience. And if you've never been to Uluru, this is my third time here. I came last year in July of 2023. We're here in August 2024. I came here about 21 years ago for the very first time, and I know this is not going to be the last time I've been here. It's Vivienne's very first time here. We'll get to hear a little bit about what that's been like for you. But the people and the culture and the ancestry and the spirit and the heart of this place, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced before, and every time I come back it's like experiencing it for the first time again and again and again. And I really make the effort to get up every morning and see sunsets if I can, watch the sunrise, because you have, from the viewing deck, you know, it's about a 15-minute walk away up into the shrubland amongst the reddest earth you've ever seen and felt. It's like powder,
Sand.
and
Red
you have
sand.
this 360-degree uninterrupted view of the sun rising. Just to her right is Uluru, and then you spin around a little bit more and then you have Karajuta, which is lit up in the most incredible blue and purple and pink and lilac, and the skyscape just changes as the sun starts to rise, and you turn around and there's this fire sky on the other side and this slither of orange and this midnight blue
And then the
shooting
silhouette,
stars.
You know? Yeah.
It's like, it really is a feast for the eyes first and foremost, but you can't not be touched. You can't not be touched by the colour and the shapes and the the art that exists in nature in such a simple way, because there's nothing else to see. It's just sunrise and colour and these two incredible land masses, these monoliths that just take your breath away.
Yeah, I think that, just this place really reminds us of the true beauty in nature. It's so simple. So simple, but there is just so much beauty. Just even this tree that we're sitting under right now, and just looking out at the greens and the red and orange stones around us. But when you go out there, it's even more magnificent. I was really taken by its beauty. And I think for myself personally in this journey, just wanting to be with it. That's it. I don't need the idle chit-chat. I don't need any of that. I've just been so immersed and captivated by its magnificence. It's so spectacular. You cannot want for anything more. And I think that on our last day here, what I've been really reflective of is kind of going back to the hustle and bustle, going back to the busyness, and actually not wanting to go back to it. Can I just stay here, please?
Can someone cook us food?
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, it's not even that. It's just the simplicity of everything, and just reminding us that, we have everything that we need, the earth provides for us. And for me, this journey has really brought me back to root chakra, that energy of grounding me, centering me, and just being at peace. And in this steadfastness, just like no matter what is happening around, just staying firmly grounded and connected to earth.
And this name of this retreat was Home to the Heart, because we were coming to what I believe really is the heart of our nation, even though it's not right in the middle of Australia. And what I've discovered over this week is that I was wanting to create an experience for everyone, for you to all come back to your heart, but actually it was me that needed to come back to the heart. And I am very heart-centered and very heart-led in my life, but we were laughing, like Vivienne's got her red nail polish on, and I came here in all this green, and my green thongs and my green parka and my green jumper that I was wearing on my way here, and I brought green t-shirts and I bought a new green singlet, and it was just green. So we're having a bit of a laugh at how we were, Vivienne's here, like underneath the table that you're
my red sneakers are over there.
Red sneakers and my green thongs.
And I dyed my hair back to red again just before this retreat, and even just these tones, these browns and
reds and orange.
It's just like this is the first time she's actually wearing like a colour other than green and purple.
I wore a green and purple swimming costume.
Wow. And and they say that when you one of the best ways to get connected to your energy centers is to actually wear the colour. But for us, we've kind of unconsciously done it, but then made the connection, right, and just gone, hey, you're in your heart chakra, I'm in my root chakra, and just really balancing out that energy center and just coming back to that. And that is, and it wasn't just us, it was throughout, all the participants on the retreat as well, doing the exact same thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's like all of those unconscious patterns that are driving our behaviour, that unless you're really centred and are mindful and are aware, there are messages and patterns and things happening constantly that you're not aware of until you cultivate the ability to be so present to the subtle energies of the land and to things that are within your consciousness and your awareness and your thought patterns, and even like down to something as simple as the colour that you paint your toenails.
Or dye your hair. Yeah.
Or dye your hair, or the clothes that you pack for a week away. Like, they are all messages, and Vivienne comes from a long history of, over 20-year practice and teaching of yoga. I'm about half that. I think about 8 years I've been teaching yoga for, and it's those practices of yoga, of meditation, and some of those, those decisions that we've made to step into ourselves through, whether it be breath work or plant medicine or energy healing or just laying on the grass and earthing, like any of these things really help to strip back the busyness and the fullness of life and the chaos of life back to a more subtle state. And then when you come to a place like this where all of that shit is literally stripped away, you're just like, oh yeah, and you see and you feel and you touch into that. There are other people who are still searching. I want to go out there and do this thing. I'm looking for this thing. I haven't achieved this thing that I'm wanting. It's like you're looking the wrong way. You need to take that finger and point it back to your own heart.
And we have to subtract as well. We have to let go. We have to strip back everything, creating space in order for us to be in this receivership. And that was huge for me, being a facilitator and constantly giving out to my communities and being of service, that I knew. So prior to, coming on the retreat, I was really sick,
That's right.
2.5 weeks, already still not recovered. I lost my voice for 4 days. I didn't quite get it back, still for another, at least week after I had lost it. And I knew coming here that it was all about
Not speaking, not being out there.
Zip it. I don't have to speak. Now I have to listen and I have to receive. And there were moments on this retreat where there was some singing, some chanting, an opportunity for us to sing. And as much as I wanted to, I was just like, I want to sing too. It's like, no, Vivienne, just receive. Just be in receivership, just take it on. Because the power of chanting and singing is not just, in the actual vocal sounds, the words, but it's actually just, you can just sit there and just feel the vibrations, feeling it move through you. And even though it was difficult at first I wanted to do the thing, and then I was like, no, just surrender and just take it all in. And that experience was absolutely beautiful.
And it amplifies, right? It's like when you recognize that lesson, like for you it was just be within yourself and receive. When you really gave yourself permission to do that and you had to really push against that drive to want to, it amplifies how much you then receive and how much you're then feeling, because it's like you've gotten the message, you've gotten what the point was of the losing the voice and what this experience was to be for you.
And I think, it was a conversation that we had prior to the retreat when I spoke to you and I was sick, and you said, oh, you're purging. And I was just like, oh yeah, because it had been well over 7 years since I'd been that sick. And and that realization, oh yeah, I'm purging. And so for you, naming this retreat Home to the Heart, and then realizing it was all about you coming back to your heart. For me, I knew leading up to this was all around communication. It was all throat chakra, me losing my voice. There was moments prior to this retreat that I needed to speak my truth, but then I literally kind of like lost the capacity to express myself, but still finding a way through that to be able to set boundaries and speak my truth still came through, which was very powerful for me. That's where I felt like I had to push against the grain because I was losing my voice, but I knew that there was a circumstance that I had to set a boundary and I had to speak my truth. I couldn't be silenced, even though I was literally being silenced, right? Shut up, no voice, you can't talk. And I pushed through that to still be able to speak my truth. But then coming here, it was like, no, this is the healing now. This is the healing, and I knew that when going back home, that I'm going to be better And I am so much better than what I was when I...
Watch out, she's got lots of things to say now.
Oh my goodness, so much. But, you know, and it's now, I know that I have so much, but it's always this refinement of how.
And what?
How, yeah, exactly. I'm not, you know, going to speak, you know, again, the gossiping and the idle chit-chat. I don't like to have those kind of conversations. They have to be deep and profound and, yeah, and picking and choosing when is appropriate.
That's kind of where the idea of this podcast came from. We've been talking about it for like 6 months or so, because we would always just get into these really deep conversations, and at the end of it we'd be like, fuck, I wish we recorded that. And we were like, well, why don't we record these conversations? And not really having any clue on what or how or, you know, any of the logistics. It was like, well, let's just sit in the bush and have a log up your butt and some rocks really uncomfortably sitting under your ankles, and we just go from there. And no, our conversations are always just heart-led, and they come from a deep place of wisdom and life experience and suffering, as well as holding all of the light, and they kind of just take their own little trajectory and path, and all of a sudden we've covered 20 million topics in the one conversation. It's what I love, you know, so much about our friendship and our companionship and relationship, is that there is a lot of trust, a lot of safety, and that we're both willing to be really
vulnerability,
there.
You know, to be absolutely raw and real, you know, and again, that comes from feeling safe and trusting, to be able to just speak whatever's there, not fearing any kind of judgment, you know, and our friendship and my other friendships that I have, that's the kind of relationships I want with people. You know, I don't have time for anything else. You know, all respect to anyone that wants to shoot the shit and whatever they talk about, but
I'm good for it.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with two of the girls last night where I was like, I can be a judgmental arsehole sometimes. Doesn't matter how much love and compassion I cultivate for myself. I can see someone doing something, I'm like, I'm on there.
Yeah.
I'm on the judging train, but I'm doing it with awareness. So, you know, I'm on my way to freedom.
Yeah. What were we saying prior to this? You sent me a meme or something, and I was just like, we've moved from sitting and being doing the whole people watching and moving from a place of judgment to now psychoanalyzing. What trauma? It's like
from trauma. What childhood trauma did that person go through to turn them into a fucking asshole?
Just with all love and compassion, you know, like towards those people in those states,
and also just humour. You know, like one of the beautiful ladies that was here on retreat was having a conversation with a couple of nights ago, and you know, it's like the healing journey and the spiritual journey and that path that we're carving for ourselves to be in this place of understanding and compassion and loving kindness and equanimity and like all of the qualities of the heart. It's hard, and there is a lot of suffering, and it can be really isolating, and you know, but on the other side of that, it's actually quite funny that we take it all so seriously. And so it's like when I am being a little judgmental shit, I'm also just having a laugh at myself at the same time, because I recognize and understand that it's all just a reflection of the places within me that I'm not free. And so I do it with awareness, and then I'm cracking up, and then I'm like, all right, I got something to work on here. And then moment. It's funny. It's also an aha moment, as is a ha moment, because I'm just laughing. You know, the journey gets to a place where it can be funny. You know, it's like, how much did I physically suffer on this retreat? Like, we turned up and
man, you know, like so much of my suffering in life, like it's always in hindsight, right?
Of course.
Always in hindsight, not in the moment. Fucking hell, who's laughing? No one's laughing. It's fucking all tears. But in hindsight, we can definitely look back and laugh about some of the most traumatic things that we've experienced. But we need to definitely bring a sense of lightheartedness.
A lightness to it.
Yeah. Because life is fucking serious enough. as it is. Holy shit. And then just making it more serious. I mean, I teach yoga, right? And I see it all the time, you know, teaching asana, an asana practice, the physical practice of yoga. And, you know, it's hard. It's hard whether you're doing a yin practice, which some people may seem more relaxing, but that's hard for a lot of people that got busy minds, you know. There's just, you know, so much busyness within them that, you know, makes it very uncomfortable. But then you have more dynamic practices, which is physically and then becomes mentally demanding. And then teaching people just soften your eyes, lift the corners of your mouth, smile asana, you know, and it's the hardest pose of all to do that when you're doing something really, really hard, and to bring that sense of ease. You know, it's just like going through the thing that's hard.
Yeah, I noticed we came here on
Wednesday.
I don't even know what date it is, on the Wednesdays. It's just today's Tuesday, so we've been here for 6 days. And from the moment I got off the plane, I had this pain that got worse and worse and worse. It transmitted down my back, into my chest, and all through my rib cage. It hurt to breathe. And I noticed for the first 4 days, these little frown lines, which I just so lovingly inherited from my father and grandfather,
The 11s.
were just imprinted into my face, and I wasn't sleeping. You know, I walked up to you at the cultural center, and you were like, "How are you?" And I was like, "I'm not good." And just started crying. It's because I was just holding this physical pain, and I knew it was okay, and I knew it was my body purging, just as your sickness before you came here was your body purging. But it was still just so heavy, and every time I looked in the mirror, I was like pulling my eyebrows apart and trying to separate my frown lines.
Need some tape.
And then once the pain, I had an energy healing with Amanda, my co-host. And through the night, between 2 and 6 a.m., I was awake the whole time, and this pain was just leaving my body, just shifting and shifting and shifting. And I woke up in the morning, and the frown lines had plumped back out again. I was like, oh, it's so interesting, just how the body just contracts around pain and suffering, and
Absolutely.
how it is so difficult to hold it tenderly, because it's just so uncomfortable. But then when you let it go, the body just naturally opens back up again. You know?
Our inner state is reflected outwardly, right? And people laugh at the fact of, resting bitch face. It's a fucking thing, it's just showing
a good one.
Someone's inner state, how, we should never take it personally, that we always think it's about us, someone's body language or their facial expression, and it's just they're giving you a dirty look. Well, I mean, they could be judging you, yeah, absolutely, and it could be directed at you, but a lot of the times it's not, and I see that a lot in yoga, and especially this resting bitch face, or even energetically, you can just feel someone's big fuck off energy, get the fuck away from me, but not to take that personally, because it's got nothing to do with you.
But to get to that place of not taking personally, you have to do the work.
Absolutely.
To come to a place of your own self-worth, your own self-governance, so that when someone's going through something, it's not being a reflection of where you're not free within your own mind, body, heart, spirit. Yeah, that person's just going through something. You can check in. Hey, do you need something from me? And then, they either tell you to fuck off, and then it's just okay, you just let them go, and then eventually we come back around and everything's fine.
Yeah. And unfortunately, if you're a people pleaser, have those tendencies, I'm glad to say that I'm not in that phase of life anymore. It's just like water off a duck's back, And I just recently had, just before coming on this trip actually, a girl, she first time doing yoga, and she was triggered by something that I said, and and I had a feeling that might be the case, and that's okay. And then she came a couple of days later, and she apologised to me, for the energy that she put off, not wanting me to take it personally. And I was just like, sweetie, I said, don't worry, it's water off a duck's back. It's got nothing to do with me, and I have that, that understanding of that. But yeah, we just never know what people are going through. This is why that whole, you don't judge a book by its cover, and we shouldn't judge people, period, because we just have no idea.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I had this, when I was kind of moving through more of the deeper layers of my personal practice and becoming more loving and more understanding and more empathetic and more compassionate, the way that I cultivated compassion, because if someone does something because they're having a shitty day and you take it personally, or it's just like rude, and you're like, whoa, what is your problem? And then you get pissed off because they've done something, even whether it was directed at you or not. And I was telling a good friend of mine who's just kind of on the beginning of her big journey into something different, and I remember sitting outside the yoga studio one day and saying to her, this is how I cultivate compassion. When someone does something and I'm thinking, fuck that guy, or fuck that girl, or I can't believe they just did that, or that was so rude, I just think to myself, oh, maybe their mum died this morning, or maybe they're in therapy for having been sexually abused by their grandfather from the ages of 0 to 18, or maybe they've just been diagnosed with cancer. And so anytime something would happen, I would go to the worst case scenario, and then that would instantly shift my tendency towards them to just be like, oh, that person's suffering right now. There'd also be this little part of me that'd go, maybe they're just an asshole, but maybe they're not. And then my role in that experience, to ensure my own peace of mind and my own happiness, it's better for me to go, maybe that person's really suffering right now. Now I don't need to think those things, acutely think, fuck, maybe they were blah, blah, blah. And now I can just be like, okay, that person's going through something. It's got nothing to do with me. I send them love. I hope they're okay, and I hope their day goes better,
Absolutely. I think that if we move from that place, that those people actually need more love.
Of course.
More kindness. Yeah. More compassion.
Yeah.
Not sure if it was Mahatma Gandhi that quoted, an eye for an eye, turn the world blind. So if you think of that, when people are moving from reactive states, someone reacts, behaves badly, and then you react and behave badly, it doesn't serve.
No.
It doesn't serve at all. But if we actually meet it with more loving kindness and compassion, then I think it creates a space for, healing.
Yeah.
And how powerful it is that, again, when you don't know what somebody's going through and don't take things personally. I remember, and I probably was about 16 at the time, and I was actually in a really, really dark place. And I was probably having suicidal thoughts at the time. And I remember walking through the streets, and I was literally because I'm just in that, I was in such pain and hurt, defensiveness as well, that anybody that looked at me is like, what the fuck are you looking at? You want to go? I'll fucking go. I'm ready to fight you. But I was really guarded, I was really guarded and defensive, and I was just trying to protect myself. And I remember somebody walking past me and smiling. And I thought, what the fuck are you smiling at? That was my, so I swear to God, that was my reaction. What the fuck are you smiling at? And I kept walking. And I remember, I actually was suicidal at the time. And I remember getting home, sitting down on the bed and remembering that person.
You still remember it today?
I still remember it to this,
later.
because it was like a saving grace moment for me. Because that remembrance, that somebody smiled at me for no reason. It was a glimmer of hope that there are good people still out there, kind people, that not everyone is out there to hurt you and to do bad things for you, do bad things to you. So, and that helped flick a switch in my brain, from wanting to kill myself to going, there's still hope.
Wow. Oh, I've got goosebumps everywhere.
It was, these kind of moments, that stick with you and just stay with you forever, I just wish now that, I knew who that person was to be able to say thank you to them. But, whoever they are, I've already said thank you 20 million times over my life, and just holding it in my heart, is the thank you, the greatest thank you, greatest expression of gratitude, to be able to hold that memory in your heart forever.
So beautiful. And just the simplicity of that, like a complete stranger, that they have no idea that you're on the verge of ending your life, and that little smile from them, maybe it was a gift from God or a gift from Source or a gift from your higher self that was like, smile at the girl, that allowed that to happen, but that you get to hold that in your heart and know the power, literally the power of a simple smile.
And it's a practice that I've actually shared with my students as well, whether they be on retreats or in a yoga class. When you go for your walk, a lot of people go for their daily walks. So when you go for your walk, you go, just smile. Smile at the person walking by. And what's funny is the feedback that comes from that exercise. Oh, you know what, Vivienne? I went out and I did that smiling exercise, and only one person smiled at me, and I'm like, and?
The expectations. Yeah,
and I'm like, and?
Missing the point.
It's missing the point completely. It's just like, and this is just a reminder to anyone.
Of course.
What is your intention?
Yeah, if you're doing it to get something in return, and you're setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely. So what? We only do nice things when we expect something back in return. It's just like, you might want to sit with that. Sit with the whole contemplation. Are you really a good person? If that's the case, if it's always moving from a place of, I'll only do
Filling
this
your own
thing
needs.
if you reciprocate or give me something back in return. How about just doing it from the goodness of your heart? Because that's where it should come from. Who cares if they smile back at you? And see, this is the thing. What I got out of that, it was just so hugely profound. It saved my life. It stopped me dead in my tracks to have that memory and go, wow, there's good people out there, there's kind people, that person offered this smile, and how powerful that is. So don't expect anything back in return. You just do it because that's who you are by nature, it's from the innate goodness within us all. Yeah.
I have this interesting moments when I'm walking with my daughter Mackenzie, who's blind. She has autism, an intellectual delay. She has low muscle tone, so she kind of waddles when she walks. She's just fucking cute. And she has a cane, which is bright pink. And so when we're walking down the street, and people see us, and often that they stare, and you can see the person contemplating. I don't know what they're thinking, right? But I can only imagine. Perhaps they're thinking, oh, that poor girl, or oh, that poor mother, or oh, I wonder what their life has been like. Maybe they don't give two shits. Maybe they think she's ugly. I don't know. There's a million thoughts that are probably going through their head. And often they just kind of get pulled into. They don't even realise now that they're staring, and they're just hyper fixated. And they're staring at her, and I'm staring at them, waiting for them to realise that I'm watching them staring at her. And then I'll just say something to Mackenzie to crack her up.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll get into a big funny conversation. And then the two of us are just talking shit and, laughing. And you see them shift straight away. Like they then start smiling, and then they'll look at me smiling, and then I smile at them. And it's, I could be like, stop fucking staring at my kid. Like, be fucking weird. She can't fucking see you staring at her. Like, where's, I could go from that angle.
Absolutely.
Or I could make us all feel really good in that moment. And so I always choose that option because, when you see her light up and her be bubbly and she's so expressive and she's got this big voice and she doesn't care about what anyone thinks or says or does, because one, she can't see, two, she's autistic, and three, she just it's not a part of her to care about that kind of stuff. And then we're all just having a good time. And then they'll go home and say to their husband or their sister or their brother,
share that story.
Oh my God, I saw this kid today, and her and her mum were just laughing. She's blind, but she just looks so happy.
Do you know what's so great about that? Because I think that, again, you said you don't know what's going through their heads, but I could only imagine for a lot of people that moving from this place of pity, for you, for her, and in that moment and that experience of how you lighten things up, that shifted their whole perspective to go from pitying someone because they have a disability to then, wow, seeing the empowerment of it all. It's just like the joy that they can live, like, look where they're moving from. Man, so many people don't have disabilities and they're miserable as fuck and don't have the level of joy and happiness that she has within herself. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's super powerful.
And that's a great reminder to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't judge. Don't I think that this talk has got a theme of non-judgment. Let's not judge people. But we have to accept that, we are human, and, we're not perfect. And yeah, as long as we can own it, I think that's the most important thing. It's like people going around proclaiming, oh, I don't judge and I don't get angry, and just like,
you should.
I'm going to run a fucking mile away from you, just like, I'm out of here. If people are proclaiming that around me, it's just like, it's the shadow aspect of yourself that you haven't quite met. And to me, that's like, they're dangerous.
It's dangerous, yeah. There's no safety in someone who hasn't met, doesn't allow themselves to go into the shadow side, whether it just be anger or deep frustration or like really feel the depth of their grief, there is no safety, and I can sense those people a mile away on my retreats, in my yoga studio, like wherever it is. It's like if I meet someone who's all like
love and light,
and unwilling to go to the depths of that shit. It's like there's only a half, like all of that is real. The love and light is beautiful, and I think they're really important qualities for us to move towards, but we don't exist. It's not, sun's not just shining all the time, it gets really dark at night time, and it's like the polarity is what creates earth and creates life and creates existence, and we can't have
human
one without
existence,
the other.
And universal existence. So
it would be like saying there's no death. There's only life. It's like, well, no, we're all going to die. So to be all love and light and no shadow, no anger, no grief, no fear, and pretend that those qualities don't exist. And a lot of the time, like it was for me, it was a survival tactic. Like I had to just be focusing on what was possible in my life, in my journey as a special needs mother. It was like, just keep your eyes on this. Don't have time for that. Then I sat with plant medicine, grandmother ayahuasca, and we will have a big conversation about that one day in our podcast. But the grief that I purged for 18 months after that experience, not because I hadn't been willing to look at it, but because I literally just had to keep on going. Like we had to just survive. I had to keep my kid alive, and I had to get her to a place where she could put her own fucking undies on. It was like literally just this moving forward. And then once I had the space and she was okay and we were both thriving, it was like, now you grieve. And even on this retreat, like all this pain that was in my lung, it was just all old unprocessed grief for all of this loss and unmet expectations, and just feeling so alone on my journey. And this is all tied into lots of different things, but you're not going to get away with it forever. You can keep telling yourself it's fine and things happen for a reason and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, but tell me how you really feel. Like it fucking sucks to be having that experience right now, doesn't it? But people are too afraid. They're too afraid because you're worried about
of judgment,
caught into the judgment, but also this risk of getting caught in a loop of depression. But I think we misconstrue depression with acute experiences of the shadow, like if you're actually feeling sad, or you're grieving something, or there's been great loss, or there is
a rage
that's coming out, a really significant fear, we all of a sudden start feeling these big shadow feelings, and we go, fuck, I'm depressed, and we get antidepressants, which stops us from feeling, and then we're in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's where it's just so detrimental to our well-being, to the well-being of others around us, because unfortunately the more we kind of shove it down, it's coming out in very detrimental, negative ways within our lives. And most people don't actually realize that it's all that shoving down. They're thinking, oh, why is all the bad things happening to me? Totally unaware and unconscious. It's because your inability to feel and allow the emotions to move through you. Because in reality, emotions are just energy in motion. And so you have a spectrum of emotions going from the most, dense, low frequency to the higher frequencies, and that's what our emotions are. And we are human, and we are here to experience it all. But we've got to let it move. And if we don't let it move and keep shoving it down, it's going to come out in very toxic ways and make us sick. Hence why, stress causes so much disease within the body. So if we just allow ourselves to feel and process it, once it comes up and moves through you and out of you, it's gone. That's it. But like you said, so many people, because they've just been squishing it for so long, that just a touch of it, they get so petrified. Oh my God, I'm going to friggin' lose all sense of control. That's another thing, right? When people, the control freaks, like trying to keep it all under control, but unfortunately there's no longevity in that. It's going to affect you in some way, and it's not in a positive way.
It becomes like a combustion pot, and I've had a couple of experiences where unconsciously that I was just like holding it together. I'm fine, everything's good.
How are you? Yeah, gritting through your teeth with a fake smile.
And then one little trigger and
Road rage is a fine example of that. Do you really think, look, I understand that there are some circumstances where it's literally like, you're avoiding an accident, and your life might have been at risk. But a lot of the time, road rage is just someone's reactive state to what? Someone just not putting their blinker on.
Driving along at 80 kilometres an hour in a 100 zone in the middle of the desert. I just had my hands on the steering wheel, just patiently driving, and our backseat driver was like, if I was driving this car, I'd be fucking on the horn. And I was like, yeah, but you're not in the driver's seat, so shut the fuck up.
I love that. It's so true, but it's just like, also, where are you trying to get to? You're in a hurry, like, oh my God, we're in the freaking middle of nowhere, It's just like, where are we going? Just back to our hotel. But that's the thing, right? Like, when people are in a high stress state of being, they get behind the wheel, right? We all meet traffic, right? Especially if it's peak hour traffic, you're trying to get to work. Everyone's in it. And it's just like that person that is so highly stressed, it's the pressure cooker, the boiling point. So it just takes being stuck, looking at the time. They're going to be late for fucking work. More pressure. Fucking starts to steam, and then people just start exploding and losing their goddamn fucking minds. And you're trying to be in a hurry, and it's like those people that are kind of like weaving through the traffic, and then we end up in the fucking same place, and it's like, did you get very far? The only difference is that, I know that I could sit there with peace and sit there with a smile and, a sense of contentment, right? Because I'm okay with it. But that other person's at risk of giving themselves a fucking heart attack, having a goddamn aneurysm, they're serious conditions that people don't realize. High stress is fucking leading you down that path. It's freaking insane. Just fucking relax. Take a breath.
What's the tattoo on the back of your neck?
Just breathe.
Just breathe.
And I got it there intentionally in the back of my neck to remind people. I got it at Christmas time.
They're like the original OG of those jumpers, those motivational jumpers that
yes,
people wear today, with the messages on the back that say, everything's
going
to be fine.
Permanently on my body. being of service to the world, just that gentle reminder, right? And because you know what, it was funny when I was actually thinking of getting that tattoo. I was thinking of getting it on my arm, and it just didn't sit right, because I'm just like, I don't know if I want to get it there. And then go to the shops at Christmas time. You know, and it's funny because it's supposed to be a time of joy, celebration. Going to the shops at Christmas time doesn't feel like that. It's, oh my God, the stress levels. And I'm on the escalator and I've literally got people fucking breathing down my fucking neck, and I'm just like, that's the light bulb moment, you know, that's where I'm getting it. And I've actually had people stop me.
Amazing.
To turn around and say, thank you, I needed that reminder today. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? I totally forget that it's on the back of my neck. And your tattoo, and I'm like, oh, awesome. You know,
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I am being of service. And,
You are.
you know, because all my tattoos, I mean, I love tattoos, but every tattoo that I have, you know, has a special meaning to me. And, yeah, and I think that, you know, that statement, just breathe, and what I learned through yoga, you know, how powerful it is just to take a moment, find a pause, because I used to be a highly reactive person. Very yoga, very anger, rage-filled person. So I see in the world in a very negative light. And, yeah, yoga teaching me the power of breath, to breathe, to be able to cultivate pauses in my life so I could not constantly move from that reactive state. And I get it, you know, when people, again, you know, highly stressed, we're full, and that's why that power of, or that process of letting go is so powerful, because we have to subtract, we have to let go to create the space to be able to receive, to create the space to be able to create, you know, the world or the life that you want, you know, to bring in the new things. So many people are trying to bring in the new things and then wondering why it never comes. Oh, hello, darling. So beautiful.
It was a bird.
Oh, yeah. I was calling you beautiful, darling. Yeah, that's creating they're living their lives wanting to something new to come into their lives and wondering why it's not coming in. Because when you're full and you're trying to bring, it just gets repelled away from you because there's no space to receive.
We came into this retreat and we started on the 8th of the 8th.
Yes.
It was the 8th of the 8th, and 2024 is an 8th year. 2 plus 2 plus 4. Some simple maths for you. And so it's 888, and we started our retreat on that evening on the Lionsgate portal, which from an energetic perspective and an astrology perspective is really potent as a time for creativity and manifestation. And so we began the retreat having everyone consider what they were intending for themselves on the retreat, as well as for the next 6 months and more and beyond moving forward. And, you know, just through the conversations, unpacking, just over dinners and breakfasts and, you know, hikes. You know, we've done some beautiful hikes while we've been here around Uluru, 2 walks at Katajuta. Just starting to sense in and touch in and feel into the parts where we're still gripping and holding. And yeah, little ceremony, closing circle yesterday afternoon where we just collected a little leaf, and the leaf was representative of what we were letting go of, and it just sort of
What we
the
were
things
leaving behind.
Think of a leaf, what are you leaving behind? And yeah, it was just really beautiful to hear some of those reflections. And we have to make space for whatever it is that we're wanting, and sometimes it's really unconscious, and sometimes those things that we're wanting to let go of are really hard to let go of, and we're not even aware. You know, I came here, I got this horrific and like heavy pain in my right chest and my right lung, like to the point where I was actually concerned that my lung had collapsed, because I have had a collapsed lung before. And on that first night I was literally laying in bed, breathing, really trying to check in, like, has it collapsed? Like really having to like really pay attention, because I was really scared. And that's not true. I wasn't scared. I was just like, that's an inconvenience if it is collapsed.
Yeah, but I think that, I mean, when you're just saying that, the fear. So when anyone has had any kind of injury or illness in the past, there is, if that area becomes sensitive, again, there is always a level of fear because of the trauma that you experienced through that time is kind of, reawakened within you.
And so I knew, under the philosophy of traditional Chinese medicine, anything to do with the lungs is related to the emotions of sadness and grief. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing. I wonder what that's going to be. And then just one morning over breakfast, someone just asked me a question, and I ended up just sitting there for like 15 minutes crying my eyes out. And I was like, oh, there's the grief. And
there she is.
It was all to do with this grief of the demise of my relationship because of my child and her disability. And the loss of the dream and the thought of what I thought my relationship and my family life was going to be like. That great feeling of being let down and, not being supported by my daughter's dad. And then there was this, underneath all of that, like realizing that I hadn't really dealt with that grief. Because above the grief, which is more prevalent and more aware in my consciousness, is this overarching frustration. Just, he's not good enough, he's never good enough, he never calls her back. She'll call him 3 or 4 times a week for 4 weeks and he just doesn't reply. And she just doesn't care. She's just like, I'll just try him tomorrow. And I'm like, I just get so angry and so frustrated on behalf of her, but actually it's me. I'm frustrated on behalf of myself.
Absolutely.
So I couldn't let the frustration go
because of the expectations that you held.
That I was that there was grief beneath it. And so all of the frustration was actually just a little like lid on top of this right lung full of grief. I cried all of that out and was like, oh, of course that there's grief there. And then I'm like, the frustration just feels like it can slip through my fingers now. I'm like, because she's happy. She doesn't have any expectations. So why am I feeling angry? I'm the only one that's suffering by my own frustration.
Yeah.
So to just be mindful.
And expectations, right?
The expectations. I've tried to work through that. But just noticing that when we're wanting to call in something and we're wanting to bring things in, we've got to let things go. But sometimes that letting go is multi-layered. And what we think we need to let go of is actually just a cap over something deeper. And so that was the big aha moment for me. And you think about your lungs, it's so close to your heart energy center.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't breathe properly. And then just over the last, 5 days, that started to shift.
Everything made sense. All the heart chakra.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's why I'm all green. Bloody Kermit the Frog over here.
Here I am thinking I'm just opening my heart. I'm just coming back home to my heart, which is, beautiful, and like coming back to the beautiful heart qualities that, we all want to be living from.
And I do.
Those qualities, absolutely.
Something was holding it back, right?
Yes, but the thing is that, it's like, all right, when we look at love, right? Can you love more? Of course, right? But we have to start to tap into these deeper layers of what is blocking our heart, because so many people, our painful experiences that we've had in life, we build a wall around our heart. And so many people moving from this place of protection, right? I want to protect the most vulnerable place within my heart. This is why body language is very, very powerful. When I was younger, I was teased, because I lived in an environment where there was no love. And my self-esteem was very, very low, and my self-worth and no self-love, none of that. What's love? I didn't know what that was. And I actually was hunchbacked. And the kids at school would tease me and call me a hunchback. And I honestly thought that was going to be the rest of my life. Right? And then obviously, through the practice of yoga, when I started to obviously do physical practice, start to change the shape of my body, and then obviously working with the philosophy of yoga and this deeper understanding, especially with the energetic system, the chakras, that I was in defensive mode, protecting the most vulnerable part of me, my heart. So being hunched over, slouched down, it's all in protection of this. And even though many of us, we want to protect our heart and build these walls, go, well, I'm not going to let anyone fuck me over. They're not going to hurt my heart ever again. The problem is in that building the walls and these barricades blocks what is inherent to us, right? All the love and the compassion and kindness and joy and bliss that we get to experience as human beings gets blocked because that has no capacity to flow out of us, right? So what you think that you're blocking from the outside to touch and affect your heart, you're actually stopping that flow of energy that is inherent to all of us, these beautiful heart qualities to be expressed outwardly.
And to ourselves.
Of
Not only are we
course.
protecting the outside world from ourselves, but we also then can't love ourselves in that way as well.
Absolutely. So like you said, there's many layers to go through. And I remember moving through my rage and my anger and the amount of sadness
Was underneath
and again and grief that was underneath that. Just like yourself, when my marriage ended, I went in, I was just obviously in survival mode, single parent, 2 kids, just started a business, opened the doors to my studio, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, what the fuck, I'm now on my own to do all of this stuff. So I had no time to process. I just had to fucking get on with it. Get on with surviving and providing for my children and doing the best that I could. And it was only up until, 3.5 years ago, actually. And that was many years. It was over 10 years since I had divorced, that feeling the grief of the loss of my marriage. And like when you're saying, it's like what we envision for ourselves, because no one is getting fucking married thinking that they're going to fucking get divorced or having a family, and then you're going to end up, oh yeah, let me just have a family and I'm just going to become a single parent. Hey, great. I know that there are people out there these days choosing to do that, but on most part, if you are getting married and having children, it is not part of the vision, or the fantasy of what that looks like. And then when that doesn't happen. So yeah, up until 3.5 years ago, I actually grieved, and I actually grieved it through an ending of a relationship that I had.
A different relationship.
A different relationship, and that was just so powerful that when I had met this guy, and we were in a 4-year relationship, there was something about him. The minute I met him, I was just like, ooh, he reminds me of my ex-husband. But it was just like all the beautiful things, about him, of course. I wouldn't have got involved with him if I was thinking all the bad things, but, it was all the beautiful things. And yeah, and then when the relationship ended, I didn't feel sadness for the loss of that actual relationship. It was actually the realization that he had presented himself to trigger that part of me, within me, the grief that I never allowed myself to experience.
You just didn't have time to, right?
Yeah, I didn't have time to, and look at that, how many years later, it was over, and even for yourself, it's
15
just like,
years.
yeah, over 10 years, and having that space, but yeah, being in it, and I'm going, yeah, I fucking loved him, I loved him greatly, and yeah, how sad it was that the whole family, the vision of a family unit had disintegrated and wasn't there. There's a lot to be fucking sad about. There's a lot to grieve about that. And just to be in the space to be able to allow. And my heart felt so fucking free, after giving myself the permission to feel all of that, and just even realizing how that partner had come into my life to
help heal that
awaken that part of me. And and it's interesting, when you think about relationships as well, how people are coming into our lives. I think it was you and I that were talking about how they are, like, relationships are wound ships. And they,
Probably.
Yeah. Wound ships that people come into our lives to trigger the deepest part of us that needs healing. And it's through that level of intimacy that you share with another another person that can tap into that. You know, it's all great, you know, like I'm a single woman and it's all great to kind of like live my life doing whatever the hell I want, you know, and feeling this sense of freedom. But it's not until you get into relationships of great intimacy that are going to trigger your deepest wounding, bring it to the surface. It's either going to, you know, empower your relationship or it's going to destroy it. Yeah, so that's how I view all relationships now, even friendships.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have time for the other shit. Let's fucking get down deep. Let's go deep down. Let's get fucking so raw and vulnerable and be that for one another, you know, because you know, we're both single women, and it's just like, okay, if we don't have a partner, you know, like for that level of intimacy, we should have that within one another. To have those kind of friendships where it's just like, I'm going to hold the fucking mirror up to your fucking face and I expect you to do the same to me, and let's just get fucking real about shit. And let's not fluff about. You know, we're here to do the work. That's what I love about us, you know, because we are very, I don't know, I don't think I've met anyone else quite, you know, and that level that are willing to go as deep.
I'm willing.
Yeah. You know, that's what I appreciate about our friendship is that, you know, our willingness to face the fire, to walk through the fire. Like it's there fucking, people are going to be like, hesitant and fucking want to run away. We're just like, fucking,
let's go.
But you know, there was something that yesterday that was really powerful in that closing ceremony that really touched me in your sharing, you know, and it was this, all I could hear and envision was the laying down of the sword.
Yeah, it was this real, this sense of like letting go of literally the weight of the sword and the spear and the pocket knife and any weapon I could hold that was like just getting me through life, and the fight and the frustration and that real warrior essence. It's like we do. I remember I was at a Wanderlust yoga festival on the Sunshine Coast, probably 2015 or something like that. And Cameron Shane, who is the
the Budokan,
mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu movements arts. He's an incredible guy, and he was sharing philosophy around the warrior and the lover, and how we're both of those things.
Of course,
that we
absolutely.
You know, people who would say I would never kill anyone, or I'd never hurt anyone. It's like, well, do you kill ants? Do you swat a mosquito? Do you kill the flies? It's like, well, you're already let's call you a murderer, right?
Yeah.
And then he said, you know, if someone was to come up to you and say, I'm either going to kill your kid or you have to kill me, you're going to kill that person,
of course,
right? So
of course.
That warrior fighter spirit exists in all of us.
Yes.
As does the lover. But for me, it's been this, like, I have held both for such a long time, but I've held this fighting spirit, and I just don't want to fight anymore. And so it's been about really letting the weight of that go, and that warrior, like, thank you, warrior, you've served me so well, and I've done so much because of that fighting spirit, but now I just want to be heart-led, and I'll call on the warrior when I need it.
Absolutely.
And the thing is there for me to call on that, but it's like this real sense of woosah. It's like this real sense of softening.
You know, and it's funny, it's like, you know, obviously this is following through just the statement of walking through the fire, you know, our willingness to walk through the fire. But I think that we're both in this stage of life now where we have been the warriors and had to fight to survive, you know, to get through difficult things. But now it's like the true wisdom comes that we pick and choose our battles. Yeah.
Or not even pick and choose. It's like what I'm realizing now is that the battle just comes to you. Like, it's like I don't even want to do any of the things anymore to go looking for the things to fight for. It's more about, it's like, I know now that when I'm to do something that's going to help traject me forward to a place of greater freedom, greater love, greater wisdom, whatever it might be, universe is just going to be like, here's a door, Tanya, you should walk straight through that, and I'm just going to get pushed in there, and then the thing will happen, and then I'll carry on. But it's like, it's like the warrior spirit's there, and I know she's there, and she's so fierce and strong and capable. But now it's my turn to just, put on my Grecian gown and plait my hair and let someone feed me grapes and fan me when I say I'm hot. and just this real sense of surrender, and so that I'm more coming from a place of heart-led living, and this real sense of, I've always had, like talking about that hunchback, I've always had incredible posture, so I am very steadfast in my uprightness posturally and my open heart, and I've held that for a long time and forever maybe, but it's like I've been carrying the weight on my shoulders, and now I'm just letting that go. Can't say it's completely gone because I still have a pain in my lung, but it'll go.
I think that the picking and choosing of battles, right? And people are faced with this every day. Recently I just had, my sister and her family, come and live with me, and it was, there were so many challenges in that whole experience. I opened my home, my heart and my home to helping my family in their time of need, and then, they just recently left, and then this conflict kind of arose out of, drama arose out of something that should have been so fucking simple. But, some people like to create drama and stories, and that's just the space that they're living in. And I was just like, I can't be bothered. It was a battle that I just am not willing to even participate in. In that being non-reactive to that means it's the ending of a relationship for me. It is setting a boundary, and it's through my non-reactivity that I'm saying everything that I need to say. And because I just knew that it depends on, if you know who you're interacting with, and, they're kind of, if you have an understanding of certain people being very dramatic in life, always, creating a mountain out of a, what's the saying? Molehill? Yeah. Whatever that saying is, right? But anyway, just dramatizing something all the time. It's always got to be a drama. And it's just like, I just choose not to, so I think that's what I'm saying about picking and choosing battles, It's just like, is it worth it? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. My energy is so valuable and precious to me that it's just like, I'm not even putting my energy into it.
Yeah.
And even if that means that it's a family member and that I'm not going to have that person in my life, it's my peace. My peace and my sanity is worth so much more than that. So we pick and choose those, where we're kind of, reacting and not reacting. There's going to be times, where you have to walk through the fire and, with whatever the life experience is that is presented to you. But there's going to be experiences presented to you, or people that, again, it's just like, really, you have to stop and think about it. Is it worth it? And sometimes, in our reactivity is that you're just constantly feeding the stories, feeding the drama energetically, and the power in the pause, the power in silence.
Yeah. There's been a few touch-ins in this chat around simplicity. And then just on that touch-in right at the end there of you talking about the pause and the silence, because we're going to have to wrap up because we have got a plane to catch. Share with me, with us, with everyone, something, anything, everything that came up in that space and that stillness and the silence and the pause for you here on retreat.
I think one of the most powerful messages that I received was walking our trek through Katajuta.
Valley of the Winds.
Yeah, the Valley of the Winds. So incredible.
And for those that don't know, the Katajuta is still actively used by the Anangu people, the traditional owners and custodians of the land, for Sacred Men's Business. So it's very limited. There's 2 little walks that you can do there. Yeah, so it is still actively used for Sacred Men's Business, and it is just absolutely stunning. Continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that I felt so connected, so deeply connected, and I got my message come through that next year for my 50th that I should be in Peru for that.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I knew that this experience was going to probably be the start to many more experiences, especially to sacred places.
Yeah, we had a chat about that before we came here, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely, and it would be amazing, our future vision to do some work in these places. But it came through very strongly, and what was funny about that walk was, so Amanda, your co-host on this retreat, she was walking behind me, and the message came through, Peru. I was just like looking at these mountains, what do you call them? Mountains? Domes, that's it, domes. These domes, and just go, Peru's calling me. And then I stopped to chat to Amanda. And then Amanda turns around and she goes, oh yeah, she goes, this reminds me of Peru. I've never been to Peru, so I don't know what it freaking looks like. And she's just like, yeah, she goes, when you go, I'm like, well, that just got affirmed for me. Peru next year it is, which will be amazing. So that's something that's very special. Get it very clear. Don't worry about the how, it's just going to happen. It's just like this retreat, it was never about like how, it's just going to happen. Just say yes. And the universe is, constantly conspiring to support us. So be careful what you wish for. There's like power in that.
And letting go of the when and the how. It's just like, this retreat here was an idea and a vision that I've had for a few years. And I came here last year on a holiday with the intention to scope out whether or not it would be possible to host a retreat. And then took months and months and months of a lot of work and a lot of planning. But I loved that process anyway, and so it was didn't feel like hard work. Share with us anything else that you've just loved from being here. Anything that you enjoyed?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think that there's so many every single day. It's just like, I said to you, how can you choose? Because all the experiences have just been so amazing. Like we went on the camel ride and that was just so relaxing and it was just so peaceful. I just like the way the camels kind of walk, it's very different to horse riding. But honestly, the drone show.
Oh, the Wiru light show.
Oh my Lord, like one of the best things I've ever seen in my freaking life. And it was the moment of gratitude for me, sitting there, and I was in absolute, this moment of disbelief. Like, am I fucking really sitting here having this experience with Uluru?
Eating ants in my dessert.
Well, I had no ants in my dessert. It was part of the dessert, okay? But that whole backdrop of Uluru, and then these drones, this show that was just put on, the sound system, lights,
50 meters up in the sky.
Yeah, 1,200 drones, the light show that was put through the trees and in the ground. It was absolutely spectacular, and the tears are just running down my face of just absolute gratitude. And something I journaled about last night is that my journey, which obviously in other podcasts we'll share more about our story. Just being really proud. I was very proud of how far I have come, who I have become as a person, in spite of all of my very challenging experiences that I've had in life, and they were tears of absolute joy and gratitude, and then to be sitting there with you And I remember I was just like, the tears coming, I'm just thinking, I just want to hug Tan. And then I'm like, I don't want to disturb her moment, her experience. And then you reached out to me, and then I was just like, sobbing in your arms, you know. And it was just like, yeah, it was something that I will never forget. Far out, and then there was lying on the ground,
Well, that's probably one of my favourite moments.
the dinner right at the rock.
Yeah, like doing an astrology talk, and we were just like, we've got to get in the dirt.
On the ground,
Laid in the
lying on the
dirt.
ground, and having that experience together. Yeah, there are just so many. You know, you definitely put on, one amazing. You know, and it is once in a lifetime experience. If for anyone that wants to do this, maybe just once that you ever do it.
I think everyone has to come here once.
Absolutely.
And really just to feel and to see and to like get out of bed early and watch the sunrise and stay out late and watch the sunset and
Spectacular.
put your camera away because it takes shit photos anyway, and just really let your memory capture the pictures and just really feel. We had many moments of being judgmental assholes, watching people
Because you're human.
who were, one, disrespecting the land.
Oh, yeah, that was
Two,
pretty bad.
would just spent the whole time on their phones, and I'm like, can you not see? There's these little things that we're so addicted to. Just put it in your pocket or leave it in your bedroom and just come and enjoy and speak to the people and learn about the culture here and the Chukapa, their law, the Anangu law and culture and education and their systems and processes of how things happen. Like, there is just a potency and a power and a magic in it all, and their incredible stories of their creation stories and all of the markings in Uluru, and they all come from something and provide education to the children of how to be a good person and how to hunt and how to survive. And yeah, it's been incredible, and I feel very blessed, but also I'm like, of course I've run a retreat at Uluru. It's like I have had a friend recently who said to me, do you ever get so overwhelmed with how much you can create and all the abundance you can create that you fizz out? And I was like, no, because I expect that. And I deeply trust and know that I literally we can have whatever we want, because everything is available to us.
But see, the thing is that in that creating, right, when we talk about abundance, right, and yeah, there's so much to do, so much planning, organization.
But that's the action,
it's
right?
just like, yeah, it's the action, but you have the abundance of energy that supports that to get you through.
Yeah, and that goes for anything and everything. I think we have immense creative potential, and we live in a time where literally everything is available if we want it. But there's work to do in your own mind and heart body and energy body and ancestral body, and really working through so that you can create space to bring in what it is that you want. And I'm really excited. I'm excited for, if this happens again, I know that we've got work to do together. We are doing work together, and we have been doing it for a couple of years. This feels really exciting, the podcast, and it's so easy to talk with you. I don't even know how long we've been here for, but I'm like, we've got to catch a bus.
Oh, we're just staying here longer.
So if you've listened, thanks.
Yes, thank you for
send
your
us
time.
Messages, ask us questions. You can, do all the things. I don't even know where this is going to go yet. Probably on a shitty YouTube channel somewhere.
Yeah. And whoever listens to this, thank you, and hope you got something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just trust that wherever this goes, it goes. Whoever needs to hear it will hear it, and I'm so glad that we did this, and it is. It's just so easy. It just flows, and we can talk about anything.
And at some point it might get a bit more professional than
Yes,
sitting in the dirt. Maybe it won't.
Oh yeah. Oh man, no. I don't mind all this. I'll sit in dirt. I'm all good with that. But Now, who knows where it's going to go? But it's, you know, it's the beginning, and we know the beginning of anything. You know, there's always refinement.
Yeah.
Refinement, and we do things repetitively. We're just going to get better and more skilled at it. Yeah. So,
Amazing.
thank you for joining us.
Namaste.
Thank you.